Siemanko. So today we're going to be talking about other ways of living your life. Living life in a way that might be a little bit different, or exploring new possibilities and new opportunities and creating a new type of lifestyle other than the one that you have been shown maybe through your family or through your grandparents or even through your peers, because life is not so narrow. Life is very broad, and you can create a lifestyle that kind of fits you and fits who you are. You don't have to follow the traditional route. You can actually go your own way and do your own thing. Because what tends to happen for most of us is we get caught up in a system, from the time that we are born to the time that we become an adult. We're put through a system that someone else created, and this system takes us in a direction that maybe we don't want, and it takes us in a very narrow-minded direction. It depends on what you do, during your university days and what you study, but for many of us, we're basically influenced to do something that we don't want. Once we get out of high school, we become adults, and this is the time that we could explore and we could try something new. But for most of us, we're influenced into a path that is going to make us money and is going to make us secure for the future. This is what your parents tell you, this is what your peers tell you, and a lot of people might already be in this path, so it's more of a reason to do it yourself. And the thing that I want to tell you about this is that you don't have to do it. You don't have to go in such a way. And I personally think that going through the educational system and then finding a nice safe job and then getting a house and getting a car and making a family is all nice and comfortable, but it makes you very narrow-minded. It doesn't open you up to new perspective. When you go through that path, you think in a certain way, and that really sticks. Because for men, when you're 25, your brain is fully formed, so I'm guessing that your ideas are also solidified. And when you're 25, that's the way you're gonna be for the rest of your life, because you only think in a certain perspective. And if all that you've done in your life is kind of follow what other people have given to you and follow that path, you're not going to be able to think in your own ways and change your own perspective. But the thing that you have to see and realize is that there's other ways of living your life. You don't have to be so narrow-minded, because once you go to university, what it does to you, it kind of closes your mind, and it makes you actually scared of life, because you only see one way that you could live life. But actually, if you open your mind, you will see that life is full of opportunities and full of different experiences and different perspectives. There's not only one way you can live life. There's actually many different lifestyles that you can choose. If going the traditional route doesn't fulfill your needs or doesn't fulfill who you are, you can actually live life in many other ways. And the thing with this is, when you open yourself up to new ideas, and when you open yourself up to trying different things in life, it gives you more perspective, and it makes you feel more secure, because you know that there's other opportunities out there in the world. And then you're not competing anymore against people. You're kind of free to create and share and give. And trust me, I got caught up in this myself, because when I got out of high school, I was kind of pushed into things that I didn't want to do, like going to university and trying to study and trying to learn something that I really didn't want to do. And my mother, she kind of wanted to influence me and push me, but I got away from it because I knew that I didn't want to go the traditional route. I wanted to do something completely different. And again, there's no blame on the part of my mother. She's just being a mother, and she's trying to influence me to do the best I can in life. But I realized I'm not that person. I'm not the person who sits behind the desk and you know, just listens to lectures. I'm a person who likes to be engaged, likes to do different things, likes to have experiences and gain new perspective. And you know, that traditional route, it didn't fit me. I didn't want to get a house, I didn't want to get a car. Although I did get a car and I had an apartment, I let it all go because I realized that I wanted to be a minimalist. I wanted to live a simple life, and I wanted to have stories and experiences in my life. And so what happened to me is I took that other path and I basically started traveling and started to have different experiences. And obviously I was doing this with I wasn't doing this with stupidity. I was being wise, and I knew that I still had to make money if I were to travel. And so I figured out different ways that you can actually travel, make money, and live and be secure. So you might be asking, what are those ways? What other ways can I actually live my life? Well, there's the first one that I came across in my life was seasonal work. So basically you go and you work at different resorts around the country, or maybe if you want to go out of country, you can do that too, because there's literally resorts everywhere in the world, whether it's like a summer resort or a ski resort for the winter. You know, you can sign up, fill out the resume, and if you get accepted, and if you have a little bit of skills, maybe if you worked in a cafe or a restaurant, or maybe if you've done some housekeeping, or maybe if you've done some managing or some HR work, or maybe you're good at customer service, you know, you can find a job at a resort. And the cool thing about resorts is you can actually do it full time, because resorts look for people for full time. You know, if you're good at what you do, they want you around, and they give you accommodation, they give you food, and they give you activities, and also they can give you money. All right, so another way is actually doing workaways. And if you don't know what a workaway is, it's basically a host family bringing you into their house and giving you a job, and in exchange they give you accommodation, they give you food, and they can also give you some pay. You can also do this full time. You can literally travel Europe, and you can go from city to city, and you'll meet families that will want you to stick around, that will always have projects for you. And there's an infinite amount of opportunities with the type of jobs you can get. And again, this is a nice lifestyle because it's stress-free. You know, you got work, you got accommodation, and while at the same time, maybe you can work on your own business. And so that's the next thing, is starting your own blog, starting a business of your own. Maybe you've been through an experience in your childhood that really changed you. Maybe you've been addicted to something. Maybe you had anxiety. And you know, there's thousands of people, millions of people that have been through the same problem or are going through it, and they need help, they need some sort of guide. So you can write about this, you can make videos about this, and then you can sell them courses, you can sell them products, you can organize events where they meet up and talk about their problems, and you give them advice. You can do online coaching. And this is kind of like being a digital nomad, but having your own business. And you could also be a digital nomad. You know, if you have a certain skill, or maybe if you've already went to college and learned something, something that is useful and something that you can do online, you can find a company that basically is looking for a person like you, and fill out the resume, send your CV, and if you get accepted, then maybe you can work as a digital nomad, and you can basically travel the world while you're working on your laptop. And if you go to Europe, Europe is really cheap. You know, in Europe you don't have to pay shit. The rent in Eastern Europe is so cheap. The food in Eastern Europe is so cheap. And I will make a video on Europe versus America. But yeah, if you're coming from like America, Australia, or the UK, and you come to like Eastern Europe, you will see how cheap it is to live here. And you know, it's so much better than renting a place out in a nice big city, and then you have all of these bills to pay, and then you have all of these things like to pay off maybe like a car loan or whatever you took out. You got credit that you gotta fucking pay off. You got school loans that you gotta pay off, you know, so you don't have to get into all that shit. You can live life in different ways. So yeah, those are some of the things that I've seen and I've experienced myself. So I just wanted to share that to kind of encourage you to try something different, because I know a lot of people that go to university, they get loans and they're fucking stuck, and you know, they're in a really shitty situation, and they're gonna be there in that shitty situation for years, because now they have to pay off a bunch of stuff, and now they're stuck. They have to go to work, they have to have a car because they have to drive to work, they have to have an apartment because they have to be close to work, and you know, it's very hard to get out of a situation like that. So why not make it easier for yourself? And maybe if you're just finishing high school, take a year or two off, travel, have a few more experiences. Or maybe if you've finished university, you could also do this, and you can save money on rent, and you can start something online. You can start your own business, and then use that money to pay off the loans that you might have from university. But again, I want to just encourage people to try this and experiment, because life should be a story, and life should be something that's fun, and yeah, you should be able to create and live your life in a really simple and fun way. So that's all I gotta say. Shemang.